Real Virginia is proudly produced by the Virginia Farm Bureau Federation. For almost a century, Farm Bureau has been a friend of the farm for all Virginians. Visit our website at vafb.com.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Real Virginia, a show about Virginia agriculture and the people who produce the wonderful local products we enjoy. Brought to you by the Virginia Farm Bureau. Here's what's coming up on this week's show. The holidays are coming up fast. We'll show you where you can pick your own chestnuts. Chef Tammy has a twist on making hummus that's perfect for your family gatherings. And we'll show you how art and agriculture are combined to inspire Americans.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay, Atlantic to Appalachia, home in my heart always.
Welcome back to Real Virginia, everyone. We're coming to you this week from East Rockingham Chestnut Farm in Rockingham County. Elijah Grouse reports these iconic trees are making a comeback after near extinction, and folks here are harvesting great memories.
For most Virginians, chestnuts are just a memory from a Christmas song. But this fall, multiple orchards across the state are welcoming customers to pick their own chestnuts.
In 2009, we planted the trees that you see around us. So these trees are 15 years old. And we started learning about chestnuts and growing chestnuts and selling chestnuts, and we ship them all over the country.
Kim Bryant and her husband David own and operate Virginia Chestnuts LLC in Nelson County. After more than a decade of successful online and farmers market sales, they knew that fresh, local chestnuts were in high demand. Then, in 2020, they encountered a huge setback.
2020, when COVID was here, we actually lost our crop due to a late frost. We had a frost in April, and then there was a second frost in May, and it basically killed all the blossoms, and we didn't have anything to grow or pick, or there was just nothing. The next year, in 2021, we decided that we would go ahead and try Pick Your Own to try and recoup some of the losses, but we didn't know if anybody would drive to where we are. We live on a dirt road. Would they come all this way? And now more than half of our customers are coming from Northern Virginia area and from Richmond and from some different areas. Yesterday, even we had people coming from Raleigh. We had two different families come from Raleigh, North Carolina, to pick chestnuts.
Raleigh is almost 200 miles away from the Bryant's farm. Jim Zablosky, an adjunct professor and pick-your-own enthusiast, drove from nearby Amherst, Virginia.
It's not a difficult drive. It's a fun drive. It's kind of a scary drive when you get this far out. I'm pretty sure I saw a couple dinosaurs as I was driving out here. So it's a little remote, but that's the fun part of it. You know, you just drive on, you're like, oh wow, this is so cool.
Zablosky visited Virginia Chestnuts last year and was excited to come back.
You share with each other, you learn from each other, which I think is the fun part of coming locally. You talk to somebody who grows chestnuts, who has those issues. In fact, last year, just by having the conversation with her, we ended up buying 2 chestnut trees. I thought, I'm going to give this a try.
In nearby Rockingham County, Daniel Jefferson and his family have been raising chestnuts since 2014. Like the Bryants, they began offering a pick-your-own option as an experiment.
We started it in 2022. That was the first year we opened the farm up, and didn't know what to expect because we didn't know if people were going to come and pick chestnuts. So we opened the farm up, and the first year we got a pretty good response, and then last year, even though we didn't get as many chestnuts last year, we got an overwhelming response for a pick your own. And this year so far, with a lot of chestnuts, we're having a good crop. We're getting a great response on folks coming in picking their own chestnuts.
Jefferson says that many of their customers come from Northern Virginia and that October is prime pick-your-own time.
Chestnuts usually start dropping, and we don't open the farm until the chestnuts drop. It usually starts dropping in late September. Depending on the weather, the wind and the rain, we can go all the way through the month of October. Usually by the end of October, we close the farm down as far as pick-your-own, but we do harvest a few more for internet orders and also for wholesale.
Both orchards are open through the month of October for Pick Your Own and also offer online sales while supplies last. Kim Bryant says there are many delicious chestnut creations.
My sister makes a really good chestnut white wine risotto. Some people just like them raw. We have also made a chestnut puree, and when we take that puree, we've actually put that into a chestnut ice cream. We made a chestnut ice cream. We put that into a sweetbread recipe, like a banana bread. So there's a lot of different things. You know, soups. I really like the puree as a foundation for a good fall soup, where you add chicken stock and a heavy broth to that, and sometimes throw an apple in there, and it's just really good and something a little bit different. For Americans that had not had chestnuts before, it's a new experience.
Both Jefferson and Brian agree that pick-your-own chestnuts have been especially popular with customers from cultural backgrounds where chestnuts are a dietary staple.
What I like about this is we have learned so much about people that have migrated to this country and are like the American dream, and they want to tell us their stories about what brought them here and then their memories of chestnuts in their home countries. And so that's been the biggest joy for me, and it was totally not what we thought the business model was going to be, so it's just been a wonderful surprise.
Those looking to go nuts can visit virginiachestnuts.com or chestnutsva.com for more information. For Real Virginia, I'm Elijah Griles.
Along with apples and peaches, Virginia farmers also harvest tree nuts, almonds, chestnuts, hazelnuts, pecans, English walnuts, and a few other varieties were raised on 301 acres in the Old Dominion in 2022. The biggest share of that harvest was chestnuts, produced on 133 acres. Chestnut trees once blanketed American forests from New England to Mississippi, and their edible nuts provided food for Native Americans, pioneers, and wildlife alike. Early in the 20th century, a blight destroyed millions of these valuable trees. Several disease-resistant chestnut hybrids are being raised across the country to bring them back.
I'm Mark Viette. Coming up, I'm going to talk about fruits in the garden. Stay with us.
Southwest Virginia farmers are cleaning up after high winds and flooding from Hurricane Helene caused more than $159 million in damage to fences, pastures, roads, timberland, and livestock. While donated hay is coming in from other parts of the state, cash assistance is needed as well. The Virginia Farm Relief Fund has been established to help direct aid to farm families in need. You can donate or request financial assistance at vafairs.com/Virginia Farm Relief Fund.
Whether they're decorative plantings or a source for tasty treats, Mark Viette says fruit trees have their place in the garden.
Quince is an old-fashioned, sometimes considered an heirloom plant. Now, they're tree quince or shrub quince. This is a beautiful, pale, pink-flowered quince in the spring, but as you notice above me, it is filled with quince fruit. I'm not an expert. I've never made quince preserves, but some people do that all the time. And maybe you have a great recipe on making quince jam, jelly, or preserves. Some of the heirloom quince will produce lots of fruit that you see here. It's an easy to grow plant. The only thing I'd caution you with is that many of these old-fashioned quince have long thorns. So, wear protective eyewear, wear protective gloves, wear long sleeve shirts, and be careful because there are very sharp needles, and I'll tell you, I've pricked myself with the needles. But again, easy to grow plant in the garden, early spring blooming. This crabapple in the spring was full of flowers. Now you might wonder, why am I talking about fruits in a garden? Well, crabapples like this feed all the birds during the winter months. And many times there's whole flocks of cedar waxwings that'll come and feed on the fruit, plus other birds. Now, due to the drought that we had last year, there were more flowers this spring, and much more fruit like you see here. Now, I have heard of people making jams and jellies out of the crabapple fruit. This variety, which may not be easy to find, is a beautiful weeping form, and it is called red jade. Let's go look at some other apples. This apple tree behind me is known as an ornamental apple. It's okay to eat, but it's not like a Granny Smith or a Fuji or a Rome or a Macintosh, but it's an ornamental apple. So it's a beautiful apple that you see here. And normally it is just filled with apples. And, you know, talk about wildlife, the groundhogs come and feed on the apples that fall to the ground. You know, one thing I learned about groundhogs is they do climb trees. I've known them to climb oak trees as high as 60 feet into a tree. But here they feed on all the apples that fall to the ground. And you can see how beautiful these apples are. And they sort of turn this color over time. So consider planting apple trees in the garden, both edible and ornamental. And keep in mind, most apple trees need pollinators. So you need to plant 2 to 3 different types of apples that bloom at the same time. I'm Mark Viette. Join me next time in the garden.
Email your garden questions to viette@viette.com.
Hi, I'm Chef Tammy Brawley from the Green Kitchen. Coming up on Heart of the Home, carrot hummus. We hope you'll stay with us.
Farming is a rewarding way of life, but it can also be full of challenges. If you or someone you know is struggling, call or text the AgriStress helpline at 833-897-2473. It offers 24/7 access to professionals who can support someone in need and help find mental health services in your community. Please make the call, because healthy farms depend on healthy farm families. That's 833-897-2474.
Many of us think of hummus as a recipe with chickpeas, but Chef Tammy has an alternative hummus recipe that could be perfect for your holiday gatherings in the heart of the home.
Hi, I'm Chef Tammy Brawley, and today I'm going to show you guys how to make a delicious hummus. Now, there's lots of different hummuses out there. I don't know if you've ever had this one, but this is a carrot hummus. We're going to saute up the carrots, get them a little soft. Then we're going to add it with some spices to our food processor. Delicious little healthy alternative. You know, we have the holidays coming up. You might be having gatherings with your families. I think this is a great recipe to do with that. So I've got some olive oil here warming up in our pan. And I've got about 1.5 pounds of carrots. You know, I did happen to get the ones that are nice thin slivers, but on the bottom here we actually have some shredded carrots. You can either do whole ones, do them yourselves. It doesn't really matter which kind you use, as long as you have about 1.5 pounds. While the oil is warming, I'm going to explain the spices. We've got some cumin here, we've got some cayenne pepper and some coriander, and we're going to add that along with some, we're going to add the spices when we puree, and in the meantime we've got some bell pepper, some shallots, and some garlic, and that's going to go into with the carrots to get that nice and soft. So it's the solid ingredients over a nice pan of oil. Grab a spatula there. You're going to see the recipe calls for half of a red bell pepper. I didn't have a red bell pepper in the vegetable drawer, but I had a yellow one. No reason in the world why we can't substitute that. So we're going to add the shallots and the yellow bell pepper to the carrots, and some whole garlic cloves, You know, nothing drives me crazier too than recipes that I see that say to chop things and then tell me to put it in the food processor. So 9 times out of 10, I'm not going to do that with garlic. I'm just going to throw the whole clove in there because I know the food processor is going to do most of the work for me. So we're just going to saute that up for about 10 to 15 minutes or so till the carrots get soft, and then we're going to come back and process it. All right, so our carrots and solid ingredients of the shallots and the garlic and the yellow bell pepper have sauteed for about 15, 20 minutes or so, give or take. What we're going to now is we're going to actually move it to a bowl, and then I'm going to move towards the food processor. I'm going to do myself a favor here and try to lift it. All right, we're going to come back over to our food processor here. Everything right into the food processor, to which I'm then going to add my spices of the coriander, cumin, cayenne pepper, and then we're going to add 3 tablespoons of tahini, which is a sesame paste. Sometimes it gets a little hard to come out of the jar, but we should be okay. Tahini does settle when you buy it in the jar and you get the liquid on top, and it's perfectly fine to use that liquid in the recipe. Don't feel like you have to go completely solid to the bottom. I do like to stir it up just a little, but if I can just get that to let go. 1 more tablespoon. All right, then we're going to add just a little bit of salt and about a teaspoon or so of lemon juice. I'm just going to squeeze that right in there, keeping an eye, make sure I don't get any seeds in that. All right, now we're going to process that up, and then we're going to serve it with some pita chips. So you want to stop during the process and scrape down the sides of a bowl. Oh, this looks delicious. Mmm. All right. Delicious carrot hummus. Now, you wouldn't want to serve it hot like this. You do want to let this cool. It's very important. So you would either want to rest at room temperature and then put it in the refrigerator for a little while. I would not want to serve it right away because it would be too hot. But you just put it into a serving bowl. I love this recipe for the flavor that it picks up from sauteing the carrots and the solid ingredients. It would also be delicious if you decided to roast the carrots in the oven. That would be perfectly fine as well. All right. Nice healthy alternative to a dip for your family gatherings this holiday season. Carrots are very healthy for you. And there you have it, carrot hummus. I'm Chef Tammy Brawley from the Green Kitchen. Join us next time on Heart of the Home.
Recipes from the Heart of the Home can be found on the Virginia Farm Bureau website at vafb.com/recipes, as well as on Chef Tammy Brawley's website at greenkitchenrichmond.com.
Carrots are raised on 153 farms covering 37 acres in the Old Dominion, according to the latest Census of Agriculture. While not a major row crop, they are popular with farmers market customers and for other direct-to-consumer sales. Carrots are a root vegetable and require well-drained, loose soil in order to grow their characteristic long length. They prefer cooler temperatures to mature, 60 to 65 degrees. According to Virginia Cooperative Extension, carrots can be left in the ground over the winter and dug out as needed. Half-longs are the variety that typically grows best in Virginia.
The holidays will be here before we know it, and many of us will be dropping off packages at our local post offices. As Norm Hyde reports, some Virginia post offices have paintings of agriculture that are meant to inspire.
When some Virginians drop off a package or pick up their mail, they may not notice the incredible murals and sculptures that decorate 27 post offices and other federal buildings across the Commonwealth. Commissioned by the U.S. Department of the Treasury's section of Fine Arts from 1934 to 1943, many of them feature scenes of Virginia's rich agricultural heritage.
In the Great Depression, about 1/4 of the population was out of work, and President Franklin Delano Roosevelt at the time was looking for ways to get more people to work, but also to improve morale and to restore confidence in the country. The idea was presented of putting art in public spaces, and post office were presented as a natural community gathering spot.
The Petersburg and Strasburg, Virginia post offices feature murals that highlight the significance of agriculture in those communities. Kokersberger says that while abstract art was popular in the early 20th century, the section of Fine Arts wanted a style for the common man.
They wanted realistic scenes that the average citizen could relate to, and they wanted stuff that was of local significance. So the case in point, in Petersburg and Strasburg, when you see those murals, it's depicting agricultural scenes and the beautiful landscape of Virginia.
William Calfee, who later helped start the art department at American University in Washington, D.C., was commissioned by the section of Fine Arts to paint murals in several post offices across Virginia, Maryland, and Delaware. His agricultural scenes in Virginia is in the Petersburg post office and depicts laborers harvesting tobacco and peanuts, two prominent crops in the region.
The people who lived in Petersburg at the time that these murals were done, which was 1937, most of them had friends or family who worked in the tobacco industry or the peanut processing industries. So going in here would be a constant reminder of the heritage of the community.
William Calfee's son, Helm Calfee, says that while his father's work was usually abstract, the Petersburg mural is a blend of the required realism and his father's later artistic styles.
It screams William Calfee, the way he did the figures and the content and all of that. It's probably nothing that he would have done later on a whim, but it's so his style. The way he addresses the human body, the sense of movement, and the detail. He takes some subtle creative liberties with it, but it's, just for lack of a better term, in my mind, anatomically correct. I get a sense of movement and the labors in that piece.
During the Section of Fine Arts program, artists like Calfee competed anonymously by submitting sketches to a panel of judges. The average commission was $600, which is about $13,000 today when adjusted for inflation. William Calfee's other son, Alan Calfee, sees multiple facets to his father's motivation to participate in the program.
I think it was a combination of the effects of the Depression, maybe difficulty in finding work in that field, and an opportunity to create some pieces that would get some exposure. I think he also liked the challenge of creating a piece for a space like that, a public space. I can see that he would love that challenge of taking a sort of a, physical tasks of labor and agriculture and using that to create a piece that has, some motion in it and other desirable elements as a artwork.
While the Petersburg Post Office mural features peanuts and tobacco, the Strasburg Post Office features muralist Sarah Blakesley's depiction of an apple orchard. The region is well known for apple production, and although the mural was painted in 1938, it is reminiscent of scenes from the present day.
Even when they were painted, a lot of them were showing historical scenes, the founding of a community, the early origins of the industry, things of that sort. So clearly times have changed. A lot of people aren't working out in the fields, but to see images of that, I think, reminds them of our history and specifically the history of their own community.
And Sergei Chubetskoy says that there are internet communities that have created post office artwork trails for visiting these works across the state, region, or nation.
I've seen, if you just go online, you will see that there are photographs of murals that people have posted. People will say, oh, I happened to go into this post office while I was traveling, and you know, I took these photographs of these great murals. I've seen them all over the place. If I know that there's one in a building, I will go out of my way to go see it.
Whether planning the next family road trip or dropping off a letter at your local post office, Virginia families can uncover more about their community's heritage by looking for these historic works of art hidden in plain sight. To find the nearest artwork, visit wpamurals.org. Reporting for Real Virginia, I'm Norm Hyde.
We're so glad you could join us to celebrate all the bounty Virginia has to offer. From the kitchen to your home and garden to our beautiful wide open spaces, we're proud to say that this is Real Virginia. For everyone from the Virginia Farm Bureau, thanks for watching. Make it a great week.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay, Atlantic to Appalachia, home in my heart always.
Southwest Virginia farmers are cleaning up after high winds and flooding from Hurricane Helene caused more than $159 million in damage to fences, pastures, roads, timberland, and livestock. While donated hay is coming in from other parts of the state, cash assistance is needed as well. The Virginia Farm Relief Fund has been established to help direct aid to farm families in need. You can donate or request financial assistance at vafairs.com/Virginia Farm Relief Fund.
Observe a domesticated human family in their natural habitat, known to their species as the backyard.
Hey, you think I should light it now? Yeah.
Oh dear, someone is about to burn a pile of debris that's too tall, which can start a wildfire. Wait, could it be? Blimey, it is.
It's Smokey.
It's Smokey Bear. What a legend.
Hey, it's Smokey. Sorry, it was too high. Right.
Watch as he astutely ensures that there's no wind, and how he removes some of the debris to create a smaller, safer burning pile.
No, you said make it bigger, baby. The bigger the better.
Take note of our fearless furry friend here, humans.
I appreciate it. Fist bump.
Watching you.
Smokey's done it again.
Bye, Smokey.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
You're going to need me. You're going to need us. All of us. You're going to need our help with your water, your air, your food. You're going to need our determination, our compassion. You're going to need the next generation of leaders to face the challenges the future will bring. And we promise we'll be there when you need us.
Every spring and fall, Virginia farmers and other motorists nearly collide on rural roads. Sometimes these collisions can be dangerous or even fatal. Glenn Keller of Shenandoah County says when a car traveling 55 miles an hour suddenly meets much slower moving farm equipment, the odds of a collision shoot up.
It's pretty dangerous when you get out on the road because we have a lot of hills in this valley, blind hills where you don't know what may be coming on the other side of those hills. And when we move something wide, like the piece of equipment behind me, we usually have an escort in front. But if the people don't pay attention to that, you have to be prepared to react pretty quick. We'll get to a blind hill and someone will follow you for a mile or so, and they finally get enough of it and want to go around, and they're usually upset and pick the wrong place.
Farm equipment operators are required to display a slow-moving vehicle emblem when they're on a public road. When you see that, or any farm vehicle, slow down. Give them plenty of space to do their job so you both can go home safely. This message brought to you by the Virginia Farm Bureau Federation Safety Advisory Committee.